Hello there. I hope everybody's having a good day there. This is our second episode of Electric Sheep. I really enjoyed our first episode there, and so this is a sequel to The Sky Altar. And so this will be The Sky Altar Part 2, and this follows our characters going on a journey to find their benefactor, because the tribe in our first part there came in contact with the Smith and Co. terminals and were forever altered, and so this uh, takes place a while after their first contact with the terminals, and now they're going to find Smith and Co. itself and to learn more about their mysterious benefactors. Like our first part, the second part is dedicated to my good friend Al Smith, who sadly is no longer with us, but he was a great fan of science fiction, and I hope he would enjoy this story. So, without any further ado, let's turn the volume up, and this is part 2 of The Sky Altar.
The revelation of Smith & Co.'s true nature began as a dream and ended as a journey that reshaped the tribe's destiny. The quest begins. Armed with the knowledge gained from the AI and driven by reverence for their mysterious benefactor, the tribe, now known as the Children of the Sky Altar, planned their expedition. They aimed to locate the legendary Smith & Co., the source of the miracles that had lifted them from the brink of extinction. Their spacecraft, built using blueprints the AI had shared, was adorned with the golden logo of Smith & Co., still proudly displayed as a sacred emblem. It was a humble ship by galactic standards, but to the tribe, it was a vessel of destiny. The elders spoke of the journey as both a pilgrimage and an act of gratitude, while the younger generations saw it as a chance to prove themselves as equals to the gods they had once worshipped. As their ship entered the galactic trade lanes, they encountered countless civilizations, each touched in some way by Smith & Co. Some laughed at the tribe's obsession with the small-time trading outfit, while others shared stories of the strange AI terminals that had appeared on their own worlds. The tribe began piecing together a fragmented image of their benefactor. Not a vast empire, but a modest entity with surprisingly deep roots in the universal economy. The revelation. After months of travel, the tribe finally arrived at a nondescript planet on the fringes of a bustling trade hub. There, amidst rows of small warehouses and modest offices, stood the headquarters of Smith & Co. It was not the grand, shining temple they had imagined, but a modest building with a flickering holographic sign, Smith & Co. Better for you, better for the universe. Inside, they found an equally unassuming team, descendants of the original founder, a once ordinary trader who had stumbled upon an ancient, abandoned AI system capable of connecting to the Universal Dimensional Advertisement Network, UDAN. The AI had revolutionized their small operation, creating an interdimensional presence far beyond anything they could have imagined. The tribe's arrival was a shock to the Smith & Co. team. These strangers, clad in clothing adorned with decades-old logos, spoke of the company as saviors, gods, and mentors. When the tribe recounted their history and their journey, the employees were dumbfounded. What they had considered a quirky side effect of their AI's programming, a system set to prioritize education and equitable distribution, had sparked the rise of an entire civilization. The pride of Smith & Co., the CEO, a middle-aged woman named Marla Smith, was moved to tears as the tribe presented her with gifts. Handcrafted tools, glowing textiles, and a tome chronicling their history, all bearing the Smith & Co. emblem. "You built this?" Marla asked, her voice trembling with pride as she held a beautifully carved statue of the Sky Altar. "You built us," Israna replied. "Your kindness gave us the tools. We merely shaped them into our future." The employees, once beleaguered workers managing shipments and advertising contracts, were swept up in the moment. They had never imagined that their humble company, powered by recycled materials and the occasional whim of their quirky AI, could create such profound change. Shared destiny. As the tribe spent time with the employees, they realized something extraordinary. For all their differences, they were fundamentally alike. Both had started small, relying on the resources they had, and the opportunities given to them. Both had grown beyond their humble beginnings, one as a thriving civilization, and the other as an accidental legend. Smith and Co., inspired by the tribe's story, decided to formally acknowledge their role. They created a new initiative, the Sky Altar Project, dedicated to providing sustainable support to underdeveloped planets while ensuring they retained their autonomy and culture. Meanwhile, the tribe returned home with new knowledge, resources, and allies, determined to continue their growth. They began their own ventures, crafting goods and tools to trade with the wider universe. Their emblem, a fusion of their tribal artistry and the Smith & Co. logo, becoming a symbol of resilience and cooperation. Years later, Marla Smith visited the tribe's homeworld. She stood at the foot of the original Sky Altar, now a preserved monument surrounded by gardens and learning centers. Children ran past her, laughing, their tunics still adorned with the golden logo. She marveled at how her small business had left such a mark, how a quirky AI and an interdimensional ad agency had bridged the vast divide between her world and theirs. Though separated by light years and countless cultural differences, the bond between Smith & Co. and the tribe endured. They had started so far apart, yet somehow they had grown into reflections of each other, resourceful, determined, and filled with pride at what they had built together.
Wow. I thought that was pretty good there. I think it is a necessity that you listen to the first part before this one. I imagine it's a little confusing if you haven't heard the first part and know what interactions the tribe had with the terminal and how that changed them from people in need to people able to reach out to the stars. Um, yeah, I really like this story. It's nice and hopeful, you know. It's a simple, quirky little story of people's uniting and thinking you're so far apart, but realizing you kind of come from the same place. You know, I don't know if everyone can relate to that, but you know, sometimes you think you're so far away from somebody, but you end up being really close. I remember there was a Filipino boy in my school, and I didn't really think, well, I wasn't friends with him, so I didn't really have any interactions with him or anything. So I didn't think of him very much. But my grandpa passed away, and he had a Filipino wife, his second marriage, and that's when I found out that both him and me could have potentially been calling the same lady grandma, and we didn't even know each other all these years, and we were basically relatives. And I just, you know, it's just like in life, we're connected in so many ways. But overall, this story was inspired by the idea of cargo cults and the way little cultures kind of sprung up when they saw vast resources falling from the sky, and that caused some quirky things to happen. But I thought, what would happen if they actually got a hold of those resources? Where most cargo cults, they basically just they wanted that shit, but they couldn't get it. They just saw the military getting all their stuff dropped off, and they wanted to know, how do we get people to drop stuff off for us? And so that's what the first story was kind of creating a scenario where a terminal would provide materials and food and stuff for a group of people in need. Um, the original idea I had was more everybody would get free stuff because it was advertising, free advertising, which is still in there, but it's focused more on the idea that there was an anomaly in the way the AI terminal decides how things are priced. And because they were in an economy that had no money, then basically everything ended up being free because it's like it's scaled to it scales to whoever you're selling to, kind of thing. But you know, the idea that you're giving people free advertising is an interesting idea. I thought, you know, because you get some really cool, because for me it's just you get some really cool stuff that's free sometimes, just if you're like t-shirts or whatever. Like if you're willing to wear a logo, you can get all sorts of stuff for free. And I'm like, what if that was just taken to its furthest extremes in science fiction? And that's kind of what we got going on here. And so the idea that a Smith and Co. logo would become like a sacred symbol because it becomes part of somebody's culture, I think is kind of a neat idea. And that was really the heart of what I was getting at, is things that are commercial and not appreciated could could be just as important to a culture as things that are handcrafted and made with tender love and care, because sometimes it's just circumstance that connects people to their objects, like, is that the thing that made you survive? Then you're going to love that thing. Or if that symbol was attached to all the things that helped you survive, you're probably going to have a positive reflection on that symbol, even if you don't completely understand what that symbol means. But yeah, I hope everybody enjoyed part one and part two, and maybe in the future there'll be a part three. But I think we'll experiment with some other stuff. But this has been Joseph Arthur Roszell, listening to The Sky Altar Part Two. So I thank you for listening, and excuse me. Thank you for listening. And whoever you are, just remember that I love you, and I wish you all the best. Good luck out there.